So today we're going to be talking about teal and orange, and we're going to be demonstrating a very simple way of how you can achieve this in camera. Now it might be that you've gone to a client site and everything is very bland and you're trying your best to make it look good, but nothing you are doing is really helping. So what you can do is you can actually inject a bit of teal and orange to help separate the client from the actual background. Like this setting now, it's bloody fugly, and we've deliberately chosen this. So we've just got a plain table with a beige wall, and it's as bland as you're going to get. And what we're going to do is we're going to separate the subject by using color against that back wall, and we will do that now. So as you can see, just by adding a single RGB light, and that is a tube light for reference, you can create a in-camera teal and orange look. Now it's not going to be to the extremes where it is teal and orange, but what I'm trying to get at is that if you are in a quick, or you need the work to be turned over quickly, and you're in a situation where the background is bland, then you can inject color into the back of it, and you're not restricted to teal, but because of the film industry and the very complementary colors, it's just an easier way to demonstrate this to you. Now there are caveats when you're doing this, and I'll explain these now. The key light that I've got on myself, that has to be 45 degrees to the subject. You don't want this spilling on the back wall. If you've got enough distance, then you're fine, but if you're in a small area, you want to try and minimize that spill as much as you can, and that's on a grid. Now yesterday, the light behind me with the RGB tube, that was about a foot away from the back of my head, and that was up high as it is now. I didn't have that flagged off, and what happened was I thought I had enough space between myself and the light to shine off. I didn't realize that that bounce back would actually bleed over past here, but it did, and I'll show some of that footage now. And the important thing is that you need to flag that off. So what I've done, I've got two bongo ties, and I've literally put those over the ends, and I've literally threaded in a pillowcase, just so that I can control the spill over the top of the ceiling, so that that doesn't provide any bounce, and also further down at the back, so then that is then stopping at the floor. So hopefully this hasn't bled through too much, so you need to be very mindful with that. Now you don't need to use a stee stand. I'll get my words out now. You don't need to use a sea stand. Seashells on the seashore. You can do this on the floor itself. You can put it on the floor and you can have this projecting up, but you still will need to make sure that you are flagging off. So you might need some corkboard just to be there, just to flag that off, because you don't want that backlight spilling onto the subject. And that is one easy way that you can create a basic teal and orange look within camera at a client site. If you ever find yourself in a position where the actual venue location is very mundane and you don't have a lot of control with it, you can actually inject some color into the background to help with separation. Now there are things that you can do with this setting to make it a bit more appealing, and we will do that now, and that is just adding in some more items into the foreground so that it at least gives you a bit more separation and a sense of scale. So we'll just do that now. So as you can see, just by adding a few elements into the actual frame itself can really help with sense of scale. Now we've not gone crazy, we're just using these items for demonstration purposes, but you can pick items at the client's venue that will help with a sense of depth, so that you can then at least make the frame look a little bit more interesting. So all I've done is I've picked a laptop, color chart, and the light meter, just to add a bit of sense of depth. So we got something in the foreground, we've got something in the midground, myself and a drink, not sponsored, And obviously then we've got the teal then light being projected on the back. And that is how you can just make a boring venue a lot more interesting with just injecting a bit of teal and orange. Now you can make these colors stand out a bit more if you decide that you are going to do a bit of color grading. You will have an easier time because the background itself has been washed with teal, so you will be able to play with the shadows and things much more easy, and you don't have to push the color grade too far in order to achieve a satisfactory look. Now it's not something that you need to use all the time, it's just food for thought, but it might give you guys just a bit of a better insight. Now you could do this even better. Again, you could add like a gobo projector if you have the money to do that, or if you have one, and you can project a shadow or something on the back wall just to break it up and make it better. And I did this, I think, in the last video when I talked about fitness and videography and content creation. So there's a lot of things you can do to a boring venue, and teal and orange is a fantastic way to go, but it's just the start. You are not limited to those colors. In fact, I would have a look at the color wheel and find complementary colors, or I would actually take a look at the branding of the customer and see if they're happy for some of those colors to be injected into the background so that it stays on point with their branding. And that is it. So if you like the content, please give me the thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.